This night was marked in heaven long before you felt anything shifting inside you, long before you questioned your emotions, long before you sensed that something in your life no longer fits the way it used to. And if you're here right now, listening to this, it's not because you accidentally found this message. It's because something in you is already awake enough to recognize that this moment matters. Tonight is not loud. It's not chaotic. It's not dramatic in the way people expect change to look. Tonight is precise, quiet, intentional. And that's exactly why most people will miss it. But you didn't. There are certain nights when the spiritual world doesn't push forward with force, but instead gently pulls you inward. Nights when nothing obvious happens on the outside, yet everything rearranges on the inside. This is one of those nights. A night where your soul is being prepared to step into a version of yourself that can no longer be delayed. Not rushed, not forced, just activated when the timing is finally correct. You may have noticed it earlier today. A subtle shift in your mood that didn't come from a situation. A heaviness that didn't feel like sadness, a clarity that didn't come from thinking, or maybe a strange calm, like something settled without explanation. These are not emotional glitches, they are spiritual signals. When awakening begins to move from concept into embodiment, your body feels it before your mind understands it. Energy moves first. Logic follows later. This is why today may have felt different even though nothing changed, why conversations didn't land the same way, why distractions didn't distract you, why the things that used to pull at you suddenly felt distant or irrelevant. You're not losing interest in life. You're losing interest in versions of life that no longer match who you're becoming. That's not disconnection, that's discernment. A spiritual awakening doesn't always arrive with visions or sudden realizations. Sometimes it arrives as a quiet refusal, a refusal to keep pretending, a refusal to keep explaining yourself, a refusal to keep carrying emotional weight that was never meant to follow you into the next chapter. Tonight is one of those moments where the soul gently says, "You don't have to carry this anymore," and waits to see if you're ready to listen. And what makes this night different is that it's not asking you to do more. It's asking you to be more honest. Honest about what drains you. Honest about what excites you. Honest about what you've outgrown, but keep revisiting out of habit. Awakening is not about becoming someone new. It's about finally stopping the behaviors that keep you disconnected from who you already are. If you've felt an unusual pull toward silence tonight, that's not loneliness. That's alignment. When the soul is preparing to receive something important, it instinctively clears the noise. You might feel less interested in talking, less engaged with social media, less reactive to things that used to bother you. This isn't emotional shutdown, it's energetic refinement. Your system is recalibrating itself to a higher level of awareness. There is a reason the world feels slightly distant right now. It's because you're standing at the edge of a shift that requires presence, not effort, not struggle, presence. Something wants to reach you, and it can only do that when your attention isn't scattered in 1,000 directions. Even a few minutes of intentional stillness tonight can open a door you didn't know was waiting. And here's what most people never understand about nights like this. They aren't random, they're scheduled, not by calendars or clocks, but by readiness. The moment your inner world becomes capable of holding more truth without collapsing, the invitation arrives. That invitation doesn't always look exciting. Sometimes it looks like emotional neutrality. Sometimes it looks like detachment. Sometimes it looks like clarity that feels almost too calm to be important. But this calm is sacred. It's the quiet before integration, the pause before movement, The moment where your soul steps forward and asks, "Are you ready to live what you already know?" Because awakening doesn't deepen when you learn more. It deepens when you choose differently, when you stop returning to the same emotional patterns, when you stop delaying decisions you already understand, when you stop negotiating with versions of yourself that were meant to expire. If you've been revisiting the same thought all day, the same memory, the same decision, the same name, the same possibility, that's not overthinking. That's targeting. The universe doesn't scatter your focus during transition. It narrows it. Whatever kept returning to your awareness today is directly connected to the shift unfolding tonight. That is the doorway. That is where the energy is moving. That is what's ready to change. If you've made it this far, don't forget to subscribe for daily cosmic insights, astrology updates, and spiritual guidance, because the universe always has a message for you. You don't need to force clarity. You don't need to analyze it. You don't need to rush toward action. Awareness is enough for now. Recognition is enough. Tonight is about seeing without resisting, feeling without judging, allowing without controlling. The more you soften, the clearer everything becomes. There is also a strange emotional distance that often comes with moments like this. You may feel detached from desires you once chased, detached from emotional reactions you once fed, detached from identities you once defended. This is not loss. This is filtration. Your soul is gently removing attachments that would interfere with where you're going next. You are not becoming empty. You are becoming clear. And clarity can feel unfamiliar when you've lived inside emotional noise for a long time. But this clarity is your ally. It allows you to see what's real without fear. It allows you to let go without guilt. It allows you to choose without self-betrayal. Tonight is not about endings, it's about alignment, about finally standing in a truth that no longer needs explanation. If something small but unexpected happens tonight, a message, a delay, a conversation, a moment that tests your old reactions, pay attention. These moments are not interruptions, they are confirmations. The universe often hides spiritual tests inside ordinary interactions, not to trip you up, but to show you how much you've grown. If you respond differently than you once would have, you'll feel it immediately. A lightness, a groundedness, a quiet pride. That's the shift locking into place. And if you notice yourself choosing peace where you once chose reaction, silence where you once explained, courage where you once hesitated, understand this. You are not trying to become awakened. You are living it. Awakening isn't a feeling, it's a pattern change. The final moments before sleep tonight carry unusual weight. Not because you need to perform a ritual or say the perfect words, but because your subconscious is open, receptive, listening. Whatever emotional tone you fall asleep in tonight becomes the instruction your inner world works on next. This isn't about positivity, it's about honesty. One clear thought, one sincere intention, one quiet decision made without fear. You don't need to know every step of what comes next. You only need to know what you're no longer willing to carry forward. That decision alone is enough to redirect your path. This night was marked not to overwhelm you, but to remind you. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not missing anything. You are right on time. And the shift you've been sensing isn't coming from outside of you. It's emerging from within you, right where it was always meant to begin. If this spoke to you, let it settle. You don't need to rush. You don't need to figure everything out. Just move through the rest of this night with awareness. Sometimes that's all awakening asks for. Space to land. And if you felt this, truly felt it, you already know. This wasn't just a video, it was a mirror. After a night like this, most people expect something external to change immediately. A message, a sign, a sudden breakthrough. But what actually changes first is far more subtle and far more powerful. What shifts is your tolerance for what no longer aligns. You wake up and nothing looks different, yet something inside you refuses to go back to sleep. The conversations that once felt normal now feel hollow. The routines that once felt safe now feel restrictive, and the things you used to tolerate suddenly feel heavier than they should. This is the quiet aftermath of awakening. The moment when your soul stops negotiating with discomfort. You may feel restless without knowing why. Not anxious, not unhappy, just unwilling. Unwilling to settle, unwilling to explain yourself, unwilling to keep postponing the life you feel pulling at you from somewhere just beyond logic. This is not impatience, this is readiness. You might notice that your intuition sharpens in unexpected ways. You sense things before they're said. You feel when something is off without needing proof. You know when to step back and when to lean in. This isn't imagination, it's integration. When awareness settles into the body, instinct becomes louder than doubt. You don't need to convince yourself anymore. You simply know. And knowing changes how you move. You may also feel a strange emotional honesty rising to the surface. Thoughts you once pushed away now refuse to stay buried. Feelings you once softened for others now demand truth. This isn't emotional chaos, it's emotional clarity. The soul no longer wants filtered versions of your truth. It wants alignment, and alignment requires courage. If you feel this happening, understand something important. You are not being asked to burn your life down. You are being asked to stop betraying yourself in small, invisible ways. Awakening doesn't destroy, it refines. It removes what's false, so what's real can finally breathe. As this shift deepens, you may notice something else that feels confusing at first. People may begin to drift, not dramatically, not painfully, just quietly. Conversations shorten, connections loosen, dynamics change without explanation. This is not rejection, this is resonance adjusting. When your frequency changes, relationships either rise to meet you or naturally fall out of orbit. No one is wrong, no one is failing. You are simply no longer vibrating at the same emotional altitude, and that's okay. Growth requires space. You might feel moments of guilt for wanting distance, for choosing silence, for prioritizing your inner world. But this guilt is leftover conditioning, not truth. You were never meant to carry everyone with you into every chapter. Some people are part of your foundation, others are part of your expansion, and some are simply part of your awakening. This is also where your sense of purpose begins to shift, not in grand declarations, but in subtle responsibility. You feel more accountable for your energy, more protective of your time, more aware of what you allow into your mental and emotional space. You begin to understand that your presence carries weight, that how you show up matters more than how much you do. This is when awakening becomes embodied. When spirituality stops being something you think about and starts being something you live. You don't chase signs anymore, you become one. At this stage, many people mistake the discomfort for regression. Old fears may resurface briefly. Old doubts may knock once more. Not because you're going backward, but because your nervous system is recalibrating to expansion. Growth stretches before it stabilizes. You may feel moments of vulnerability where your old identity tries to reclaim you. Moments where comfort whispers, "Stay here, it's easier." But ease is not the same as alignment, and your soul knows the difference now. This is the phase where choice becomes everything. Not big choices, small ones. How you speak to yourself, what you entertain mentally, where you invest your emotional energy. Awakening is not proven by words, it's proven by consistency. If something challenges you during this time, see it for what it is. A checkpoint, a confirmation, a final mirror. How you respond now shows you who you've become, and even if you don't respond perfectly, awareness alone is growth. Compassion for yourself is part of the shift. You are not meant to master this overnight. You are meant to live it honestly. Now comes the part few talk about, the settling, the grounding, the moment where awakening stops feeling like a wave and starts feeling like home. You don't feel euphoric. You feel steady, rooted, clear. You no longer need constant reassurance. You don't need to explain your path. You don't need external validation. Your decisions come from a quieter place now, a deeper place, one that doesn't panic when things are uncertain because it trusts timing instead of control. This is where manifestation changes form, not because you're trying harder, but because you're aligned enough to receive without resistance. Life begins to respond differently. Opportunities feel cleaner. Conversations feel purposeful. Doors open without force. And the most important realization arrives gently. You were never waiting for a sign. You were becoming one. This night was marked in heaven not because something magical would fall from the sky, but because you were finally ready to stand in your truth without shrinking, ready to choose yourself without apology, ready to walk forward without needing to know every step. If you're still here, reading or listening, take this as confirmation. You didn't imagine this shift. You didn't make it up. And you're not alone in it. You're simply awake enough now to notice what's been calling you all along. Let it unfold. Let it integrate. Let it become real through how you live. Some awakenings arrive as lightning. Others arrive as certainty. This one arrived as you.